Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Awesome, and welcome to the Ryan Awesome Show. Now, before we get into the show, first off, man, if you haven't done this already, man, what are you waiting for, man? Hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. And right next to that subscribe button, there's a bell. Make sure you click on that bell so you're the first ones to know when my next video will come out because I'm here each and every single week. So make sure you hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. Hit the thumbs up. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. And then next to that subscribe button, there's a bell. You click on that bell. And when you click on that bell, you'll be the first ones to know when my next video is uploaded. And one last thing, don't forget to be awesome. So yeah, don't forget to be awesome. And yeah, man, sit back, chillax, grab something to eat, grab something to drink because you're watching the Ryan Awesome Show. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ryan Awesome Show. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Awesome, and welcome to the Ryan Awesome Show. Now, today on the Ryan Awesome Show, we'll be talking about NXT 2.0. So that's the new name for NXT, NXT 2.0 for September the 14th, 2021. So yeah, man, this is a new era for NXT, a new NXT, man. And man, oh man, oh man, I did not like this show. I did not like this show. Really didn't. Like, man, like stuff on this show did not make any sense, man. The decisions that they made on the show did not make any sense. The fatal four way, them adding somebody else to the fatal four way didn't make any sense. The fact that Kyle O'Reilly couldn't compete didn't make any sense. From the beatdown he had from Pete Dunne, like with that, he should have just came out there, beaten up, competing for the NXT Championship since the NXT Championship is so important to him, and all that stuff. And then LA Knight, man, losing early in the show, him competing twice when he have a main event match was terrible, man. Him competing twice on the show didn't even make any sense, and him losing clean didn't even make any sense. And so yeah, man, and them changing the name NXT from NXT to NXT 2.0 is just cringe. Just calling a show 2.0, like, dude, it just makes your show look bad. Like, why are you calling a show 2.0, NXT 2.0, instead of just calling it NXT? And then they changed the color. What was wrong with the black and gold? What was wrong with the black and gold? They changed it to some colorful paint. That's what they did. And then the music, man. What was up with the music? They changed the music. What was wrong with Slipknot? What was wrong with Poppy? And they changed it to some stuff that you'll hear on the radio. Like, man, but I will say this one thing though. The setup did not look bad at all. It didn't look bad. At least we didn't have no cage hot in the fans. At least we didn't have that. But the setup was really nice. Better than what we had at the Capitol Wrestling Center. But I would have much rather had them at Full Sail. That's just me. I would have much had them at Full Sail. And so yeah, man. And then the background, man. The background that they showed for, like, when they showed the matches and all that stuff was terrible, man. It looked bad. Like, it really did, man. But yeah, man, this was not a good show, though. It was not a good show. It wasn't completely bad. There were some things that I did enjoy on the show. I did love the Fatal 4-Way match. And Tommaso Ciampa winning the NXT Championship. I did enjoy that. And the wedding was really good. So those are the only things that I cared about. And that was it, man. That was the only thing that I cared about. Everything else I really didn't give a crap about. I really didn't give a damn about it. And so yeah, man. But yeah. And then another thing on this show, man, the NXT Women's Championship match was canceled. It was canceled. It was supposed to be Frankie Monet versus Raquel Gonzalez for the NXT Women's Championship, and they canceled that match. Why? I don't know, but it was canceled. And so yeah, man. So yeah, first off, we had these NXT Fatal 4-Way contenders speaking. Kyle O'Reilly, Pete Dunne, LA Knight, and Tommaso Ciampa. They were talking, and they had some music playing in the background. The music was terrible, man. And so we went to LA Knight, and he was talking about him winning the NXT Championship, and you had this guy named Bron Breakker. He interrupted LA Knight's promo and all that stuff, and so Bron Breakker is actually the son of Rick Steiner of the Steiner brothers. And so Bron Breakker, why not just give him the Steiner last name? Why not give him the Steiner name instead of calling him Bron Breakker? The name sounds terrible, man. It really does. And so yeah, so LA Knight, he didn't like the fact that Bron had interrupted him, and so he challenged Bron to a match. And so I was like, what? I was like, what? He challenged him to a match. Like at first, when I first saw it, I didn't know he challenged him to a match. I was paying attention to all this other stuff on the show. And so yeah, so when LA Knight came out, and I was like, oh man, they kicking off the show with a Fatal 4-Way. I'll be like, man, that would have been a explosive start off to the show. But it was LA Knight versus Bron Breakker, and I was like, why is LA Knight competing twice? Why is he competing in the opening match, and why is he competing in the main event? Why is he competing twice on the show? Like, it didn't make any sense. But yeah, they changed up the ring too, so we don't have the black mat anymore, the black ring mat anymore. I would have much rather had the black ring mat. The black ring mat looks better than the white one. And so yeah, man. So we went to the white ring mat, just like what they have on the main roster, and it looked like the main roster. Everything on this show was main roster stuff. It felt like the main roster. And so Breakker, he started slamming Knight around and all that stuff, and then Knight, he finally took control of the match. And so Breakker, he started fighting back, and to end the match, man, Breakker, he had a military press, a military slam. He had Knight in a military slam position, or a military press, and he slammed him into a power slam to Knight to win the match. So Bron Breakker wins the match, and I was like, what? What? You have this guy, this newcomer coming in and beating a guy like LA Knight, man. Former $1 million champion. And a number one contender for the NXT Championship. Losing clean. He lost clean to this guy. Terrible, man. Absolutely terrible, man. And so yeah, man. And so yeah, and I was like, at that point I was like, now that he lost, LA Knight lost earlier tonight, which means he's gonna win the NXT Championship. That's how I came off. That's what I was getting at. That's what I was thinking. And I'm pretty sure everybody in the wrestling community was thinking about this. Since LA Knight lost tonight, since he lost tonight, he's gonna win the NXT Championship. That's what everybody thought, man. But that did not happen tonight. And so yeah, man. And of course, Bron Breakker is a big guy, so that's their new edict. They're starting to push the bigger guys, the big jacked up muscle guys. And yeah, man, Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard, they taking control of NXT, and they pushing their bigger guys. So clearly, that's why Bron Breakker won this match. And so right after that, man, we had Imperium. We had Fabian Aichner and Marcel Barthel versus Brooks Jenson and Josh Briggs. And so yeah, so Josh Briggs, he has been on NXT. He was in the NXT Breakout Tournament, and Brooks Jenson didn't even know who he was. And so yeah, man. So Imperium, they took control of the match, and then Jenson and Briggs, they took control of the match, and the crowd had started booing. And so we had a standing splash to Barthel from Briggs, and we had a PK kick to Briggs from Marcell, and so the crowd started cheering for Imperium, and Imperium out of heels. And so we had double stereo kicks to Briggs from Imperium. We had a hot tag to Jenson. He took out Imperium, and the crowd started booing. And so we had an underhook. So in the match, we had a double underhook superplex to Jenson from Aichner to win the match. So Imperium wins the match. And so when Imperium won the match, I was like, thank God. Thank God, because we just saw what happened early. We just saw what happened with LA Knight and Bron Breakker, and Bron Breakker winning the match. And so at that point, I was like, man, please do not lose. Please do not make Imperium lose this match. Please do not make Imperium lose this match. And so Imperium won the match, and when they won the match, I was like, thank God. Thank the Lord. Praise the Lord. And so yeah, man. So yeah, so that was it with that, man. And so right after that, we had Hit Row. They were backstage. They spoke about B-Fab. So Hit Row, that's Isaiah Swerve Scott, the reigning and defending NXT North American champion. Ashante, the Adonis, Top Dolla, and B-Fab. So they were backstage. They started hyping up B-Fab, and because she had an in-ring debut later on tonight. And so yeah, we had B-Fab. We had B-Fab with Hit Row in her corner versus Katrina Cortez. And so yeah, man, this was not good, man. This was not good. So yeah, so B-Fab, she took control of the match, and then Cortez started fighting back. And so to end the match, or towards the middle of the match, we had a pump kick to Cortez in midair. And then to end the match, we had a hangman's neckbreaker to Cortez to win the match. So B-Fab wins the match. And so right after the match, B-Fab, she grabbed the microphone and she started talking about Elektra Lopez from Legado del Fantasma. And so we had Legado del Fantasma. They interrupted Hit Row while they were talking. And so Elektra, she told B-Fab to shut up in Spanish. And so Lopez, she had challenged B-Fab to a match, a one-on-one match. And so B-Fab, she was like, why wait later when we could do it right now? I'm ready right now. And so Legado del Fantasma, they held Elektra back. And so that was it, man. So we might get a future match between these two. And yeah, this match was not good, man. It was so sloppy. Like, it was sloppy. And the timing was off. Like, everything was off about this. And B-Fab, man, she needs to be, she's better suited as a manager and a valet than being inside the ring. You know, lead that up to the guys. That's my thing, man. That's my thing right there. But yeah, man, that was it with the match. And so right after that, we had Johnny Gargano, Cameron Grimes, and Odyssey Jones. So they were backstage. They were dressed as Dexter Lumis because we had the wedding tonight. And so we had Austin Theory. So Austin Theory came in. He was dressed as Dexter Lumis as well. So Austin Theory is back in NXT. And then right after that, we had Damian Priest. He came in. The United States champion, Damian Priest. He came in, so he made his way back to NXT. And so yeah, they were backstage. They were celebrating together, and they were hyping up the wedding and all that stuff. And so yeah, man, that was it with that, man. Really good to see Austin Theory back. I was wondering where was Austin Theory. I was starting to get worried, man. But he's back. And Damian Priest, man, he's back in NXT. Not back in NXT, but he made his return to NXT. So it was good seeing Damian Priest too. And so right after that, man, we had Carmelo Hayes. So Carmelo Hayes, he came out with a guy named Trick Williams. And so we had Samantha Irvin. Samantha Irvin, she interviews Carmelo Hayes with Trick Williams. And so the crowd started cheering for Hayes. And then Hayes, he said that he has a target on his back. So that's why, and the numbers, so yeah, he had a target on his back, and which means that the numbers are against him. So that's why he bought some backup, or he called for backup, which is Trick Williams. And so he says, wherever he goes, Trick follows. When I eat, Trick eats. And so Trick, he has said that he's proud of Hayes, and Hayes is the golden child of NXT. But Trick, he has said that he had a bone to pick with Carmelo Hayes. So yeah, he was calling Hayes out for being humble and a nice guy and all that stuff. And so Hayes, he agreed. He agreed with Trick Williams. And so Hayes, he has said that he is the chosen one. And when he shoots, he never misses. And so yeah, they went, so they left the ring, and so they were walking up the entranceway, and so we had Duke Hudson. He came out. I think he was scheduled to have a match, and so Duke Hudson, he came out and he got in Hayes and Trick's face, and so Duke Hudson, he had pushed both of these guys out the way, and so Williams, he was like, you know what, man, this is exactly what I'm talking about. He told Hayes, this is what I'm talking about. You can't let people push you around like that, and so Trick Williams, he went in the ring and he took out Hudson. And so Trick, he told Hayes to get in the ring, like, come in the ring. And so Hudson and so yeah, so Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes, they double teamed Duke Hudson. So yeah, man, they double teamed him and they took him out, which is a heel move. Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, that was a heel move. Carmelo Hayes was portrayed as a babyface, and Duke Hudson, of course, is a heel, so they double team a heel. They did a heel tactic on a heel. And so yeah, man, so that was pretty much it. And so yeah, so that was the whole point of this. Trick Williams, he wants Carmelo Hayes to bring out, he wants him to have more of an edge and all that stuff. And yeah, man, is Carmelo Hayes turning heel? That's the thing, is he turning heel? Or was that a heel turn? I don't know, man. But yeah, man, this is good stuff, man. This is good. But yeah, man. So that was it with that. And so right after that, we had a tag team match, and it was Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro versus Gigi Dolan and JC Jane. So yeah, man, I didn't understand this, man. I really didn't understand this. So yeah, man. So yeah, during the match, man, the tag team match was not even important, dude. It wasn't even important. So yeah, so during the tag team match, we had Kyle O'Reilly, and Kyle O'Reilly, he got attacked by Pete Dunne and Ridge Holland backstage. And so yeah, and right towards the end of the match, we had Mandy Rose. She came out, she was hooded. She was wearing like a black hoodie and all that stuff, and she took out Carter and Catanzaro. And so the referee had rung the bell for a disqualification. And so the commentary team, they acted like they didn't know it was Mandy Rose, and we all knew it was Mandy Rose. And so the commentary team, they was like, "Who is it? Who is it? Who is it? Oh, it's Mandy Rose! It's Mandy Rose!" So yeah, we knew it was Mandy Rose. And so yeah, man. So Saray, she had came out to even up the odds, and so we went to commercial break. And so right after we came from commercial break, we had a 6-person tag team match. And so at that point, I was like, man, this is so main roster like. This NXT. Like NXT would have never done that. Would have never had an impromptu match. So yeah, man. And at that point, I was like, dude, the whole tag team match was a waste of time. You went from a tag team match, 2-on-2 tag team match, to a 6-person tag team match. But yeah, man, why couldn't they just save it for next week? I don't know. It would have been much better. It would have been a lot better if you would have saved it for next week instead of having it on the same doggone night. But yeah, man. So yeah, so this time it was Casey Catanzaro, Caden Carter, and Saray versus Mandy Rose, Gigi Dolan, and JC Jane. And so the heels took control, and then Mandy Rose, she had a follow-away slam on Catanzaro, and we had a running senton from Jane to Catanzaro. And we had a hot tag to Carter. She took out the heels, and then both teams were going back and forth. And then Saray and Rose, they went back and forth too. We had a super kick to Rose on the side of her head from Carter, kicks out. And then to end the match, man, we had Mandy Rose. She hit the V-trigger knee to Casey Carter. Not Casey Carter, Caden Carter from Mandy Rose to win the match. So Mandy Rose, Gigi Dolan, and JC Jane, they won the match. And so yeah, man, just like what I said, man, this match should have been saved for next week. Like if you would have saved it for next week, man, we would have had extra time on the show. We'd have had a lot of extra time, and like you made the whole tag team pointless by making it an impromptu match. You made the match before that unimportant. So yeah, man, so main roster like, man. And so right after that, man, we had a backstage segment. It was Candice LeRae and Indi Hartwell. They were getting ready for the wedding, and so LeRae, she had told one of the women to take off her hat because no hats allowed. And so yeah, man, so that was it with that. And so right after that, we had Mackenzie Mitchell. She interviews Mr. Regal. And so Mr. Regal, he had a lot to say about tonight. And so Mr. Regal, he had said that due to Kyle O'Reilly getting attacked by Pete Dunne and Oney Lorcan, Kyle O'Reilly will not compete in a Fatal 4-Way. So Mr. Regal, he said that, they still will be a Fatal 4-Way, but the person that's going to take Kyle O'Reilly's spot is Von Wagner. And so I was like, Von Wagner? I was like, man, who the hell is Von Wagner? And so yeah, so Von Wagner, man, Von Wagner. And so you're probably thinking too, like, who is Von Wagner? Who is that? And so yeah, so Von Wagner is taking Kyle O'Reilly's spot in a Fatal 4-Way. And so yeah, you remember how I said that stuff on this show did not make any sense? This did not make any sense. Like, why are you giving away a NXT title match, man? To a nobody, a person that didn't even deserve it, a person. So yeah, so he helped Kyle O'Reilly. So he chased off Pete Dunne and Ridge Holland that ambushed Kyle O'Reilly backstage, and he get an NXT Championship match. Like, really, dude? That's not how you're supposed to get a championship match. You're supposed to win matches. Everybody in this match earned a title match. Look, and why is this guy getting a championship match on his first night on the show? Why is he getting his first championship match on NXT 2.0? Did not. That's why I said, man, this is so main roster. Like, like the main roster does stuff like this, and they brought it into NXT. NXT would have never done something like this. They would have never done anything like that. And they giving this guy an NXT Championship match on his first night. Didn't make no sense, man. Did not make any sense. And Kyle O'Reilly, man. Kyle O'Reilly. Like, since the NXT Championship means so much to him, why didn't you just let him compete for the title? Why couldn't you just kept it as a Fatal 4-Way? Or if you were gonna take him out of the match, why didn't you make it a triple threat match? Why didn't you just make it a triple threat match? But no, you want to add somebody like you want to add Von Wagner to the match. Who is Von Wagner, man? Yeah, man. Did not make any sense. Did not make any sense. And so yeah, man. So that was it with that. So that was the main event tonight. And so right after that, we had Ridge Holland versus Drake Maverick with Jason Waller. I think that was his name in his corner. And so yeah, man, squash match, an absolute squash match. Holland was throwing this guy around, man. And then to end the match, Holland he had his finishing move, the Northern Grit, to Maverick to win the match. So Ridge Holland wins the match, and that was it, man. And so right after that, we had Mackenzie Mitchell. She interviews Tommaso Ciampa, and so Ciampa he said that tonight is all about the NXT Championship, and he says that it's been 908 days since he held the NXT Championship, Goldie. And so he said that tonight he will get his redemption. And so yeah, man. So yeah, that ended up being the case. Tommaso Ciampa he did get his redemption. And so yeah, man. So we had Tony D'Angelo. We had Tony D'Angelo who's coming soon. And so he was outside. He was talking about his upbringing and all that stuff, his background in amateur wrestling. And so D'Angelo he had said that there's no money in amateur wrestling, but the money is in NXT. So Tony D'Angelo he will be making his debut on NXT. And so yeah, man. So that was it with that. And so right after that, man, we had the Creed brothers of Diamond Mine. The Creed brothers, that's Brutus and Julius Creed, with Diamond Mine in his corner. So that's Malcom Bivens, Roderick Strong, and Suzuki. And they had a female Diamond Mine member in their corner too. And so versus some local enhancement talent. So yeah, I did not get these guys' names. The local competitors, I did not get their names, but it really doesn't matter because they lost. But yeah, man. Brutus, he had took out both of these guys, man. And then both of these guys, the Creed brothers, they were slapping each other in the face, tagging each other in. Crazy, man. I would never let my tag team partner slap me in the face to tag me in. That's just ridiculous, man. That's crazy. So yeah, man. So the Creed brothers, they took control of this match. They took full control of this match. They mauled these guys, man. Absolutely killed them. And then you had one of the other Creed brothers. He started punching himself in his face. He punched himself in his face to fire himself up, like legit punching him in his face, punching himself in the face. And so to end the match, man, we had a sitting clothesline from one of the Creed brothers to these poor guys, man, to win the match. So the Creed brothers winning the match. And so yeah, man, absolute beatdown, man. This is a murder, man, a murder. But yeah, man. So yeah, so right after that, Malcom Bivens, he had grabbed the microphone, he started talking. And so he says that if anybody step up to Diamond Mine, they will be carried out of the ring. Like once you step foot inside this ring against Diamond Mine, you will be carried out of the ring by the end of the night. And so Bivens, he had said that, well, Bivens, he introduced a new member of Diamond Mine, and her name was Ivy Nile. And so Ivy Nile was introduced as a new member of Diamond Mine. And so Ivy, she started flexing in front of the camera because of her muscular figure. And so yeah, so Malcom, he started talking about Ivy's accomplishments. And so Bivens, he has said that Ivy is a great representation of what Diamond Mine is all about. And so yeah, that was it. And so Kushida, the cruiserweight champion of NXT, he came out, he interrupted Diamond Mine while they were talking. And so Kushida said that you talk too much. You talk too much. So wherever the Botchamania is, he already got that clip. Like where was the Botchamania when you need him, man? So yeah, man. So yeah, that's definitely gonna be on another episode of the Botchamania. You talk too much. But yeah, man. And then Kushida. So yeah, so Malcom Bivens, he had challenged Kushida to defend his championship. He challenged Kushida to defend his championship against Roderick Strong next week. So the match was official. So it's gonna be Kushida defending his cruiserweight championship against Roderick Strong. So yeah, so I'm guessing Roderick Strong wins the title. Yeah, he has to. He has to win the championship. He got his new group now, Diamond Mine. So yeah, Roderick Strong, he's gonna win. He's gonna win the NXT Cruiserweight title next week. And so yeah, man. So yeah, that was the match that was announced for next week. And so yeah, and right after that, man, we had the NXT Championship Fatal 4-Way match. And so the winner will be sort of for the vacated NXT Championship. And just like what I said yesterday on Pro Wrestling Crate Unboxing, Samoa Joe was taken out. Well, he wasn't taken out. He was injured, so they stripped him of the championship. And so yeah, man, and I talked about it too on a Pro Wrestling Crate unboxing that The only reason why they took it off of him, it was a Vince McMahon move. It was a Vince McMahon move. Since Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard are in charge of NXT now, they took it off of him. They took him off of the. They took him off of the. They took the championship off of Joe. And yeah, like why? Like why would they put the championship on him just to take it off of him? Like it didn't make any sense. Like I wouldn't see Triple H do it. Triple H wouldn't done nothing like that. Vince McMahon would have done something like that. That's the whole reason why he's never been a WWE champion, because of his injuries, his history of being injured. So it clearly it was a Vince McMahon move. Vince McMahon stripped him of the championship. But yeah, man. So we had Pete Dunne versus LA Knight versus Von Wagner versus Tommaso Ciampa. So it was supposed to be Kyle O'Reilly, but he got taken out earlier, just like what I mentioned. And so yeah, man. So all these guys, they went right after each other. And then Wagner, he took out Knight. And then Dunne, he went right after Wagner's arm. And so Ciampa and Dunne, they went right after each other too. And then Wagner and Dunne, they were going back and forth. And then Wagner, he took out Dunne. And so we had a flatliner tonight from Wagner. And so the crowd started booing Wagner because he doesn't deserve to be in a championship match. And so Ciampa, he hit a series of clotheslines to Dunne and Knight. And so Knight, he hit his finishing move, the BFT, the blunt force trauma, to Pete Dunne and Wagner. And so we had a Willow's Bell. We had a Willow's Bell to. We had a Willow's Bell. I think it was to Tommaso, not to Tommaso Ciampa. It was either from, not from. It was either to Wagner. I think it was from to Wagner or Knight. It was to one of these guys. And so Dunne, he had broke up the pin. And so Ciampa, he dove over the top rope. He dove over the top rope on everybody outside the ring. So that's unlike Ciampa. Ciampa usually doesn't go for the top rope, but he hit it tonight. And so Pete Dunne, he hit his finishing move, the bitter end, to Tommaso Ciampa. Knight had threw Pete Dunne out of the ring. And so right after that, man, we had Wagner, he hit the Olympic slam or the angle slam to Knight. And so he went for the cover. At that point, I was like, oh my God, man, please kick out. I was like, please kick out. And so Knight, he kicked out. And so Ciampa and Dunne, they were working together. They took out Wagner. And so the crowd had cheered at that point. And so they were chanting NXT, NXT. And then Ciampa and Dunne, they were going back and forth. And then Dunne hit a snap German suplex to Ciampa. And then LA Knight hit a superplex to Pete Dunne, which was beautiful, man. Beautiful superplex. And so we had a double underhook suplex tonight from Wagner. And then Ciampa, he broke up the pin. And so to end the match, man, we had a fairy tale ending to LA Knight from Ciampa to win the match. So Tommaso Ciampa wins the match and is the new NXT champion. So yeah, man, I was shocked, man. I was absolutely shocked, man. I thought that LA Knight was gonna win the match. I really did, based off of what happened earlier tonight. But I did yesterday, man. If you guys watch my Pro Wrestling Crate unboxing, I did predict that it was either Pete Dunne or Tommaso Ciampa winning the NXT championship. It was either one of those guys. And so yeah, so Ciampa won the gold, man. Ciampa won the gold, and he has Goldie back. So great for Ciampa, man. And so yeah, man, finally he got Goldie back. So I'm happy for Ciampa. And this Fatal 4-Way match was one of the things that I did care about on the show. This is a great match, man. Great match. And so yeah, man. So yeah, that was it with the Fatal 4-Way. So Tommaso Ciampa is the new NXT champion. And so yeah, man, really good, man. Really good stuff. And yeah, man, I am not disappointed, man. Not disappointed. I'm actually happy, man, that Ciampa won. I was so glad that Wagner didn't win. That Wagner didn't win. But yeah, man. At first I thought it was gonna be Pete Dunne too, man. So Pete Dunne, I didn't notice, but it was reported that Pete Dunne agreed to a 3-year deal with WWE. I think Fightful Select had reported that. I think they did reported that. Fightful Select, they said that Pete Dunne agreed to a 3-year deal with WWE, and it was offered. I think it was offered by Triple H. Yeah, it was offered by Triple H. So yeah, so Pete Dunne, he is in WWE. He's gonna continue to stay in WWE. So at that point, I thought he was gonna win the gold based off of that. But yeah, man, that was it, man. That was it with the match. And so right after that, man, we had the wedding between Dexter Lumis and Indi Hartwell. So it was the wedding. So that's the first ever NXT wedding, or the first wedding on NXT. And so yeah, we had the NXT locker room. They walked out for the wedding. Not the entire locker room, but majority of the locker room that came out. I think the Grizzly Young veterans came out. Amber Moon, Candice LeRae, and some other people. Odyssey Jones, Io Shirai came out too. And so yeah, so Gargano he had walked Indi Hartwell to the ring, and so Johnny Gargano, so the minister was talking, and so Johnny Gargano he said that, so the minister had said asked who would give away Indi Hartwell to the wedding, and so Gargano he said that John Gargano would give Indi Hartwell to the wedding or give her away and all that stuff. And so yeah, so Johnny he was interrupting the wedding. This at this point he was interrupting the wedding, and so Candice was telling him to sit down and all that stuff. And so yeah, that was it. And so Johnny he asked Theory like, "Hey Theory, do you got the rings? You got the rings?" And so Theory, man, Theory he had said, "Yeah, we're in the ring." And so Gargano Hill was like, "Man, that's not what I asked. I said, where are the rings?" And so we had Ikemen Jiro. We had Ikemen Jiro. He had his blazer on, and so he stood up. He started flashing his body around, and so he had the rings. He had the rings in his jacket. And so yeah, and so Gargano he had said, "You gave the rings to this guy? You gave the rings to this guy, man? I told you to hold on to the rings." And so Gargano he had got the rings from Jiro. And so when the minister he had got to the part where does anybody object? Does anybody object to the reason why they should not get married? And so everybody raised their hand. Everybody raised their hand. And so Dexter Lumis he had opened his jacket. He had opened up his blazer jacket, and so he showed everybody the axe that he had in his jacket and all that stuff, telling everybody to be quiet or this gonna happen to y'all. And so everybody just slowly put their hands down. And so yeah, man. And so we got to the vows and all that stuff. And so Indi she said that she sees Dexter Lumis as her cuddly teddy bear. And so Indi she said that Dexter is her freak. And so Indi she said that Lumis at one point had snuck into her bed late last night. And so Gargano and Laredo they were upset because they just finding out about it and they didn't know about it. And so Indi Hartwell she said that she cannot wait to spend the rest of her life with Dexter Lumis. And so we got to Dexter Lumis, his vows and all that stuff. And so Dexter Lumis he didn't say anything. He didn't say anything because of course he doesn't talk. And so Dexter Lumis he had put his thumbs up. He put his thumb up for his vow. He put his thumb up for his vow. And so the minister of the wedding, he got ahead of himself. He got ahead of himself by criticizing Dexter Lumis, like asking him like, "Hey, why don't you have a vow for Indi Hartwell? She have a well thought out vow for you, and you don't have anything for her." And so Dexter Lumis had gotten this guy's face, and he locked him in the silence. So he locked in his submission with the silence. So Dexter Lumis had took out the minister. And so yeah, now we don't have a minister. We don't have a minister to continue this wedding. And so everybody was telling Mr. Regal because Mr. Regal was there too. He was sitting in the chairs where everybody else was sitting. You even had a referee. You even had a referee at the wedding too. So that was funny. So yeah, so everybody was telling Mr. Regal, you do it. Mr. Regal, you do it. And so Mr. Regal, he was like, "No, I am not about to get in the middle of this. I am not about to get in the middle of this." And so Beth Phoenix from the commentary team, she had got out of the commentary table and she went to go take the minister spot. And so she said that she was registered. She said she was registered as a ordained minister. And so yeah, so Phoenix she mentioned the word Chase. And so we had Andre Chase. We had Andre Chase who was there too at the wedding. And he stood up and said, "Did anybody say Andre Chase?" And so everybody was like, "Dude, no, nobody said your name." And so Andre Chase was starting to get ahead of himself too. And so yeah, Odyssey Jones who was also there, dressed as Dexter Lumis, he put Andre Chase in his place. He started manhandling him. He manhandled him and put him back in his seat. And so yeah, man, so that was it with that. And so Gargano he had handed Hartwell and Dexter Lumis the rings. And so we got to the part of the I do's and all that stuff. Do you take Dexter Lumis as your lawfully wedded husband? Do you take Indi Hartwell to be your lawfully wedded wife and all that stuff? And so Indi Hartwell she said I do. And so Phoenix, since Dexter Lumis doesn't talk, Beth Phoenix had took Dexter Lumis's silence as a yes. And so Lumis he had covered Beth Phoenix's mic. He had covered her mic. And so yeah, he covered her mic. And so Dexter Lumis for the first time ever, Dexter Lumis talks. He talks for the first time ever on NXT. And so his first words ever is I do. And so everybody, the way that he said I do, he was like, "I do." And so everybody popped, the crowd had popped. Everybody that was attending the wedding had popped because it was Dexter Lumis' first words, the first time that he ever spoke. And so we got to the part, you may now kiss the bride. And so Dexter Lumis and Indi Hartwell had kissed and are now married. So that was it, man. So Indi Hartwell and Dexter Lumis, they're now married. And yeah, right after that, man, Tommaso Ciampa, he was backstage. The new NXT champion, Tommaso Ciampa, he was backstage. He watched the wedding from backstage. And so we had Bron Breakker. He came backstage. He interrupted Tommaso Ciampa. And so Breakker, he congratulated Tommaso Ciampa on winning the NXT championship. And then Ciampa, he congratulated Breakker for winning earlier tonight, and all that stuff. They went to go shake each other's hands. And so right after they shook each other's hand, they started staring at each other for a long time. And so that's how we went out the air. So we ended off the show with both of these guys staring at each other face to face. And I think Breakker was at once looking at the title. So I hope he doesn't get a championship match. Just because you beat LA Knight doesn't mean that you deserve a championship match. You gotta get more wins than that. But yeah, that's the vibe that I got. That's the vibe that I got from this. He won an NXT championship match. And so yeah, man. So that was it, man. The wedding was really good, man. The wedding and the Fatal 4 is the only thing that I enjoyed on the show. But overall, man, the show was not good. It was not good. But yeah, man. But yeah, that was it, man. What's next for Hartwell and Dexter Lumis? Now that they're a married couple, what are they gonna do as wife and husband? I don't know. But we're gonna find out next week. But yeah, man. Just like what I said before, man. Show was not good. It was not good at all. The only thing that was redeeming about tonight's show was the wedding and a Fatal 4-Way match for the NXT Championship. And the whole show, like, everything did not make any sense, man. Von Wagner getting involved in the match. The Fatal 4-Way match didn't make any sense. Us having impromptu matches didn't make any sense. And, dude, it just felt like the main roster, man. Like, tonight's show felt like the main roster. But yeah, man. That was it, man. That was it with NXT, man. The NXT that we once loved, the NXT that we once watched and loved, bro, is dead. The black and gold is dead. The black and gold NXT is dead. Dead and buried. And we'll never get a chance to see it again. We'll never see the NXT of old ever again. And so yeah, man. Man, let's talk about all the NXT champions in the past, man. Let's talk about them right now, man. Let's talk about them. Seth Rollins, first ever NXT champion. Probably the only person. Like there are a select few from NXT that was successful in NXT and now successful on the main roster. That's a select few. And yeah, Seth Rollins, the first ever NXT champion, successful in NXT and successful on the main roster, Grand Slam champion. Big E, first black NXT champion, successful in NXT and successful on the main roster as the current WWE champion. So congratulations to Big E for winning the WWE championship on Monday Night Raw. Bo Dallas, successful in NXT, wasn't successful on the main roster. Bo Dallas, I believe, was the youngest NXT champion of all time. Neville, who goes by Pac now in AEW, successful in NXT, was not successful on the main roster. Cruiserweight champion in 205 Live, but never was successful on the main roster. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, these two are probably the ones too that were successful in NXT and successful on the main roster. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, Shinsuke Nakamura was my favorite, man. Shinsuke Nakamura, when he came out, bro, and the crowd was singing along to his theme music and all that stuff, man, it was so great, man. NXT Shinsuke Nakamura was the best. Bobby Roode, oh my God, man. Bobby Roode was the best. Bobby Roode was my number one guy. He was my number one guy, like, once he was in NXT champion. He came out with the suits and all that stuff, saying that he's glorious. And the takeover entrance, man. The takeover entrance is so great, man. It was so great. When he came out to his music, man, everybody was singing along like a choir. And he even had a choir. He even had a choir on his NXT takeover entrance. And so I was like, man, this guy's a future WWE champion. He is a future WWE champion. And he never got a chance to become future WWE champion because the main roster, they misused him. They turned him into a babyface. That was their first mistake. And Bobby Roode, he was a heel in NXT. And on his first night on the main roster, they turned him into a babyface. A good guy. And so yeah, man, the rest is history. The rest is history. Never done anything on the main roster. You can say the United States Championship, but he's never amounted to anything on the main roster. Never. And now he's in a tag team with Dolph Ziggler. Like really, man, that's the best that you have for Bobby Roode. So yeah, man, Bobby Roode, he was the best, man. He was the best NXT champion, or one of the best NXT champions. So yeah, Bobby Roode, Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, that was a him holding the NXT championship was great. Him reinventing himself, that was really cool. Andrade Cien Almas, or Andrade El Idolo, who goes by Andrade El Idolo in AEW, was a great NXT champion. And he was misused on the main roster. Aleister Black, who goes by Malachi Black now, NXT champion. And it is a crime. It is an absolute crime that he never held any championships. He ain't held nothing on the main roster. He didn't even held the United States Championship or the Intercontinental Championship. And I was one of those people that was saying that Black, he will be a WWE champion. He will be WWE champion. And he even held nothing. He held no championship, not even a tag team championship when he was with Ricochet. But yeah, man, Malachi Black, Tommaso Ciampa, the current NXT champion. And as I said always, man, Heel Tommaso Ciampa was the best Ciampa, man. 2018 version of Ciampa was the very best Ciampa. Johnny Gargano, Adam Cole, the longest reigning NXT champion, who's now in AEW now. Adam Cole, I'll tell you, he dodged one hell of a bullet, bro. He really did. They were gonna make him into a manager. They were gonna make him for a manager for Keith Lee, and they were gonna change his name. Like, dude, are you out of your freaking mind? You don't change Adam Cole name? You kidding me, dude? So yeah, man, he dodged a bullet, man, leaving WWE. Karrion Kross, man, Karrion Kross, former NXT champion. What are he doing on the main roster? They put this guy in suspenders and they put a mask over him. And they took Scarlett away from him. They took Scarlett away from him. Where is she, man? Where is Scarlett? Nowhere. And now he's losing on the main roster. He was undefeated in NXT, and now he's defeated on the main roster. Lost to Jeff Hardy, lost to Keith Lee, and now he's feuding with John Morrison, and a dripstick and all that stuff. Like what? That's the best that you have for Karrion Kross. But yeah, there was a few people, man, that I would have put in as NXT champion, man. Tyler Breeze should have at least held the championship once. Tyler Breeze is my favorite, man. When he came in as the gorgeous one in NXT, he came out with the selfie stick and all that stuff, man. Tyler Breeze was freaking awesome, man. He was freaking awesome. And at the level he was, man, he should have held that title, man. He should have held that NXT title at least once. Like, he was in almost every main event on NXT. He was almost in every NXT main event, whether he was competing for NXT title #1 contender spot or for a championship match. So that's why, man, they should have put the title on Tyler Breeze. And yeah, the gimmick was over. Tyler Breeze is over. The crowd loved him. Yeah, the crowd started chanting Breeze is gorgeous, and you had the half of the crowd saying no, he's not, and all that stuff, man. Tyler Breeze is awesome, man. Really awesome. And then Tyson Kidd. Tyson Kidd was another one. Tyson Kidd was another one that I would have had as NXT champion. Tyson Kidd, he was on the main roster, wasn't doing anything on the main roster, and they brought him into NXT to elevate NXT. And he did kind of elevate NXT. He had great matches with Neville, great matches with Sami Zayn, and all these other guys that he competed against. Tyson Kidd, I would have definitely had him as NXT champion. And then he reinvented himself too, man. On a main roster, he was all boring and all that stuff. And then when he went to NXT, he developed a new character, and he reinvented himself. And he became a better Tyson Kidd. And of course, we all know what happened with Tyson Kidd. He got injured, and that ended his career. He got injured. That ended his career. Almost died. He almost died, dude. He was in a match with Samoa Joe. He took that muscle buster, and it almost killed him. It almost killed Tyson Kidd. And yeah, man. So I would have definitely had Tyson Kidd as NXT champion. Hideo Itami as Kenta would have had him as NXT champion. And I think he was scheduled. He was scheduled to become an NXT champion. I think they were going to NXT. They were going to take NXT to Japan at one point for a tour, and Hideo Itami was scheduled to be champion, but he got hurt. He was in a match, I think, against Riddick Moss or something like that, and he was taken out for 6 months. I think 6 to 8 months. And yeah, man, he was scheduled to become NXT champion, but they gave it to Balor. And so it was Kenta. It was supposed to be Kenta versus Kevin Owens, but it ended up being Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor, and of course Finn Balor won the title from Kevin Owens. And so yeah, man, yeah, that's for the NXT Championship, man. And most of these guys, man, what are they doing now, man? What are they doing now? And so yeah, for the NXT Women's Championship, man, Paige, first ever Women's Champion, first ever NXT Women's Champion, Paige. What she's doing? Nothing. She's retired. She's hurt. WWE not clearing her to compete. Charlotte Flair, even though I'm not all of a fan of Charlotte Flair, she was a part of NXT, elevating the NXT Women's division. Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks is my favorite, man. Sasha Banks has always been my favorite in NXT. Was my favorite NXT women's wrestler. My favorite women's wrestler, period, man, was Sasha Banks at that time. And, you know, she still is. She still is one of my favorites. Sasha Banks, Bayley, Asuka was my favorite one to hold the NXT Women's Championship, that undefeated streak, man. There was nobody. There was nobody beating Asuka. Nobody. Asuka, man, with the undefeated streak was really cool. Ember Moon. I think Ember Moon should have ended that streak. Ember Moon should have ended that streak, but they had Asuka relinquish the title, man. They had to relinquish the title. And, of course, Asuka, she lost at WrestleMania. WrestleMania 34, I was there in New Orleans on that WrestleMania when she lost the streak to Asuka, when she lost the streak to Charlotte. And I was like, man, why did they give it to Charlotte? They should have gave it to Ember Moon. Ember Moon should have broke that streak. And Ember Moon should have been the one to take the title off of Asuka. And then Ember Moon, she ended up becoming NXT Women's Champion anyway. And then Shayna Baszler, of course, she had a dominant reign as NXT Champion. But Asuka, man, she stands as number one as most dominant women in NXT. So, yeah, we had Rio Ripley, former NXT Women's Champion, Io Shirai, the Joshi Judas, Io Shirai, man. Her turning heel was the best move, man. When she first came into NXT, she wasn't all that special. But when she turned heel, when she started to go dark and all that stuff, when she turned on Candice LeRae, man, that was the best move. That was the best move for her. They changed everything about Io Shirai when she turned heel. They changed the music, they changed the ring gear, they changed everything, her hair and all that stuff. They changed everything. Io Shirai, man, she was the best when she was heel. And then now you have Raquel Gonzalez. You have Raquel Gonzalez, the current NXT Women's Champion. And they canceled her match, man. They canceled her match tonight that she was supposed to have with Frankie Monet. And I do have some honorable mentions too. That should have been NXT Women's Champion. Becky Lynch should have held the NXT Women's Championship. And she's the only one, the only horsewoman to never hold the NXT Women's Champion was Becky Lynch. And Ruby Riott. I would have had Ruby Riott, who goes by Ruby Soho now in AEW. I would have had her hold the championship too. And she never, like Ruby Soho, never became champion ever in WWE. She never held the NXT Women's Championship. Never held any championship on the main roster, not even the Women's Tag Team Championships. And so, yeah, man. Ruby Riott, Becky Lynch, Nikki Cross. I would have had Nikki Cross won the NXT Championship at one point. Dude, Nikki Cross, she came close. She came this close for beating Asuka. I think they had a last woman standing match, and Nikki Cross was this close. She was this close to beating Asuka in the last woman standing match. So yeah, I would have had Nikki Cross won the championship too. But at that time, man, nobody was taking that title off of Asuka. Nobody was taking that title off of Asuka. Nobody. So yeah, man. So yeah, we're done with the women's division. And now we had the NXT North American Championship, which was introduced in 2018. And the first ever champion was Adam Cole, baby. First ever NXT North American Champion, Adam Cole. And that was at that TakeOver match, that ladder match at NXT TakeOver New Orleans, man. A show that I regret not going to. Man, NXT TakeOver New Orleans, man. I should have went, man. I should have went. But yeah, instead I went to WrestleMania instead of NXT TakeOver New Orleans. But yeah, man. Adam Cole, first ever NXT North American champion, and it was his first championship in the company in WWE. And so Ricochet, of course, beat Adam Cole for the championship. And Ricochet, what is he doing on the main roster? Nothing. Another guy that I pictured as future WWE champion, Ricochet, and he's done nothing on the main roster. You could say the United States Championship, but nobody remember him winning the United States Championship. Johnny Gargano, the Velveteen Dream. Oh, my God. Man, Velveteen Dream, bro. My God. The situation that he is in right now, man, I do not want to talk about it right now. But yeah, man. Velveteen Dream, no longer in WWE. Roderick Strong. Keith Lee. What is he doing right now? Nothing. Man, Keith Lee, man. Oh my God, man. They ruined this guy. On his first night, man. On his first night showing up on Monday Night Raw, they changed his theme music. They changed his theme song. Why would you change his music? That's the thing. Why would you change his music? His music was perfectly fine, and you changed his song to some generic garbage. You changed his theme music, and you changed it again. Like, dude, what was wrong with our old music? That's what I want to know. What was wrong with the old music? Nothing. And they changed it. They changed his ring gear too. They put him in a freaking singlet because they thought he was too fat and all that stuff. And when he's not even that fat, he's not even fat, man. He's a big guy. He's a big guy, but he's not all that fat, man. Like, why would you put him in a singlet? That was his whole look, man. That was his signature look, and you took it away from him. You changed everything up about him. Like that's their problem, dude. That's their problem. Everybody that they call up from NXT, they always change them when they don't need to be changed. They changed Karrion Kross, and they changed up all these guys that they called up for no reason. Just change them just to change them because they didn't come up with the idea. They didn't come up with the idea. So that's why they want to change them. And the whole point of NXT is to prepare them for the main roster. Is to prepare them for the main roster. That's the whole point of NXT. So why to help them get better for the main roster. So why are you changing them once they step foot on the main roster? When the main roster is supposed to be the real deal, the big deal. And you changing them. You trying to redevelop them when they were supposed to be developing NXT. When they were already developing NXT, you changing them once they step foot on Raw and SmackDown. So yeah, Keith Lee, Damian Priest, the current United States champion. Leon Ruff, he got released. Leon Ruff, still don't understand how he became NXT North American champion. Bronson Reed, oh my God, man. You made a mistake, man. You made a huge mistake by letting Bronson Reed go. You made a huge mistake. And Bronson Reed, man, I could see him in either New Japan, I could see him in New Japan Pro Wrestling, or Impact Wrestling. I could see him in both of these companies. And Isaiah Swerve Scott, current NXT North American champion. And so, yeah, man. They, past and present, man, they had a great division, man. NXT Tag Team Division, man, was really good, too, man. NXT Tag Team Champions, you had the first ever NXT Tag Team Champions, British Ambition. That would have been Neville, who goes by Pac now in AEW, and Oliver Gray. So they're the first ever NXT Tag Team Champions. The Wyatt family, Luke Harper, God rest his soul, and Eric Rowan are former NXT Tag Team Champions as well. The Wyatt family was probably my favorite faction ever, man. The Wyatt family with Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, Eric Rowan. Not when they added Braun Strowman. I love the Wyatt family when it was just the three of them. When it was just Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, and Eric Rowan. That was the freaking Wyatt family. That was the Wyatt family right there. And that their matches that they had with the Shield versus the Wyatts. Best feud, man. Best feud. They carried Monday Night Raw. They were the best thing about Monday Night Raw was the Wyatts and the Shield. They were the best. And then they broke them up. They broke the Wyatt family up on the main roster. Like, dude, like, why? Like, that's their problem. They break up tag teams. They break up factions just to break them up for no reason. That's the one thing that irks me, dude. That's the one thing that irks me so much, that the fact they break stuff up and don't even have a reason on why they broke it up. And then you had Neville and Corey Graves. Corey Graves, who is now an announcer, who's retired. So Corey Graves, former NXT Tag Team Champion with Neville. The Ascension, man. The Ascension were my favorite NXT Tag Team Champions. The Ascension were freaking awesome, dude. They were freaking awesome. Connor and Victor, bro. I love the music, the entrance, everything, man. And once upon a time, they were the longest reigning NXT Tag Team Champions. And the main roster ruined them. And so, yeah, man. The Ascension, the Lucha Dragons, Kalisto and Sin Cara, bro. Really good. Still to this day, man, I still don't know why they broke them up. I still don't know why they broke up the Lucha Dragons. Sin Cara and Kalisto. They broke them up. Why? And then you had Wesley Blake and Buddy Murphy with Alexa Bliss in their corner and all that stuff. They were NXT Tag Team Champions too. They broke up Wesley Blake and Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy, he went to 205 Live, became the Cruiserweight Champion. Wesley Blake went with Steve Cutler. He formed the Forgotten Sons with Steve Cutler and Jackson Riker, the Forgotten Sons. And then another team that should have been so Enzo and Cass, they were a part of the NXT Tag Team division, but they never held the titles. I would have put the titles on them. Enzo and Cass, I would have too. It was Enzo and Cass with Carmelo, man. With Carmelo. They were great together. They were really great together. Enzo and Cass. My name is Enzo Amore, and I'm a certified G and a bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. And this right here is Big Cass. He is 7 foot tall, and you can't teach that. And this is Carmella. She's hot as hell, and you can't teach that. Man, they were over, man. They were so popular, man. They were so popular, and they should have held those NXT titles, man. They should have held the NXT Tag Team titles, and then they went to the main roster, and just like WWE as always, breaking up tag teams. They broke up Enzo Amore and Big Cass for no reason. They broke them up for no reason, and which ruined their careers, man. They almost ruined their careers. Like, what was none of these people were better off alone. They were better together. They could have made a lot of money with Enzo and Cass, and they broke them up. Their merchandise sales were up. They were at the top. Everybody was buying their merchandise, and you broke them up. You broke these guys up for no reason. For no reason. And then Big Cass ended up getting fired. They brought Enzo Amore in 205 Live in the Cruiserweight division. And then he ended up getting released. And now Big Cass is now in Impact Wrestling as W. Morrissey. And Enzo Amore, I don't know where he is. I think he's probably rapping somewhere. Some rap show or something like that. Performing. But yeah, man. They made a huge mistake by breaking those guys up. Never should have broke them up. And then you had the Vaudevillains too. They were good too. I love the Vaudevillains. Aiden English and Simon Gotch. They were really great together. Aiden English now goes by Matthew Raywalt in Impact Wrestling. And Simon Gotch, I think he's in the NWA, I believe. Or he probably on the independent scene. So yeah, they were really good too. And then the main roster broke them up too. Released Simon Gotch. I think, yeah, they released Simon Gotch and they kept Aiden English. And then you have the Revival, man. The Revival, I say this all the time, man. The Revival, FTR, they're my favorite tag team ever. Favorite tag team wrestlers of all time, man, is FTR. Now it's FTR in the AEW as part of the Pinnacle. So yeah, man, they had great matches, man. Great matches with the American Alpha. So American Alpha, another team that was former NXT Tag Team Champions. And, Chad Gable, Jason Jordan. Still to this day, man. Don't know why they broke them up. Terrible mistake. They were a great tag team, man. They were great together. Jason Jordan and Chad Gable. And you broke them up. You sent Jason Jordan to Monday Night Raw. And you had him as Kurt Angle's illegitimate son. And he don't look nothing like Kurt Angle. I would have believed it if it was Chad Gable, because Chad Gable, he looks much more like a Kurt Angle. But they went with the wrong guy. Instead of going with Chad Gable, they went with the wrong guy. And Jason Jordan. It should have been Chad Gable's spot. Because Chad Gable, if you look at him, you look at Chad Gable, he looks a lot like a Kurt Angle with hair. If Kurt Angle had long hair, that's what he looks like him. He looks like Kurt Angle, man. But they went with the wrong guy. Man. But yeah, man, that was a failure, man. That was a failure. So yeah, the American Alpha, former NXT Tag Team Champions. You had DIY, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano. You know the history of DIY. The Authors of Pain, Razor and Akam, with Paul Ellering in their corner, man. The Authors of Pain, they were also one of my favorite tag teams in NXT. When them having Paul Ellering is what made them better. Paul Ellering spoke for them. You had these two big guys that didn't speak, that didn't talk. They let their matches do the talking and all that stuff. And dude, they were great together, man. The matches that they had with the Undisputed Era, Insanity, and everybody else, man. Former NXT Tag Team Champions. They went up to the main roster on their first night. What did they do with the Authors of Pain? They took away Paul Ellering. They took Paul Ellering away from them. The best part of the Authors of Pain was Paul Ellering. They took him away from them. They took him away from them, and they replaced Paul Ellering with Drake freaking Maverick, dude, as the manager of. And I was like, man, what are they doing? He doesn't even fit with them. Them taking orders from a guy like Drake Maverick, dude. No. And so yeah, and then they teamed up with Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy when Seth Rollins had his faction with Buddy Murphy and the Authors of Pain. And then yeah, man, you had Sanity, Eric Young, Alexander Wolf, Killian Dane with Nikki Cross. Sanity was freaking awesome, man. There were the cult vibe. I loved it. The music, I loved the music and everything. And you know what WWE did? They broke them up on the main roster. Undisputed Era, best faction ever in NXT. Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, and then they later added Roderick Strong. Held all the gold in NXT, man. Really great stuff. And they main evented almost every single NXT taping in every NXT takeover, man. You had Mustache Mountain, Tyler Bate, and Trent Seven. Mustache Mountain. The War Raiders, man. When they were the War Raiders, Hanson and Rowe went to the main roster. Viking Raiders now. Eric and Ivar. The Street Profits. Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins, Matt Riddle, and Pete Dunne. Imperium. Breezango, former NXT Tag Team Champions. Danny Burch and Oni Larkin. And MSK, the current NXT Tag Team Champions, man. And also another team that I would have made as NXT Tag Team Champions were Heavy Machinery. I would have made Heavy Machinery as the NXT Tag Team Champions based off of the gimmick. The gimmick was really good, man. What was they motto again? Stakes and weights. Yeah, it was Steak and Weights, man. They were really good together, man. And never held the NXT titles. Never held the NXT Tag Team titles. And they made it up to the main roster. They teamed up for a little bit and they broke them up. They had Tucker turn on Otis. And at that point, I was like, man, why did they break them up? Why did they break them up? And I forgot which pay-per-view was that. I think it was at Hell in a Cell. I think it was at Hell in a Cell. It was one of those pay-per-views, man, when they had Tucker turn on Otis, man. That was the worst decision. Like, what? Like, they broke up a tag team. Like, they needed tag teams on the main roster, and they broke up Tucker and Otis. And which was probably the only, they were the only legit tag team on the main roster, and they broke them up. And to this day, man, I would never forgive them. I would never forgive them for breaking up Otis and Tucker. They were so great together, man. And they should have held those titles. And so, yeah, man. And then they released Tucker. And Otis is still there with Chad Gable. And yeah, man, that's it with NXT, man. All of the past and the present. I hope I got through everything, man. But yeah, man, that's the NXT that we once loved, man. Black and Gold is dead. Black and Gold is dead. NXT is dead. Screw this new NXT. I don't like it. The Vince McMahon era. Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard. NXT. Sucks, man. Sucks. NXT 2.0 sucks. And just like what I said, man, this might be my very last review of NXT. I don't even know if I want to talk about NXT anymore, man. I really don't. I might have to do something else on Tuesday. Probably review something else on a Tuesday, but I don't want nothing to do with this NXT. I really don't. But yeah, man. That was it, man. That was it with NXT, man. That was it. And if you like this video, man, hit the thumbs up, man. What are you waiting for? Hit the thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, if you're watching this D-Ryan Awesome Show for the first time ever, hit the subscribe button. And then right next to the subscribe button, there's a bell. Make sure you click on that bell so you're the first ones to know when my next video is uploaded, because I'm here every single week, man. Tuesdays for NXT. Maybe, maybe not. So now it's going to be Wednesday. It's going to be Wednesday for AEW Dynamite. Thursdays for Impact Wrestling. Friday for AEW Rampage. And Saturdays and Sundays are for the pay-per-views, whether it's WWE pay-per-views, WWE pay-per-views, AEW pay-per-views, and Impact Wrestling pay-per-views on Saturdays and Sundays. And yeah, man. Comment down below, man. Tell me how you felt about NXT 2.0. Tell me everything that you thought about NXT 2.0. And share this video, man. Share this video with each and every single person that you come across. And yeah, follow me on Twitter at Ryan Awesome Show. And yeah, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. I'll see you guys on Wednesday for AEW Dynamite. I cannot wait, man. Adam Cole has his in-ring debut against Frankie Kazarian, so I cannot wait for that. And yeah, man. And once again, guys, thank you for the support. Thank you for the love and the support for the show. Thank you, thank you, and thank you. And this has been the Ryan Awesome Show. Take care, stay safe, and don't forget to be awesome. And that's, oh yeah, if you miss anything, man, if you missed the last week's review of NXT, the video's going to be right up here in this corner. And the link to that video will be down below in the description. So make sure you check it out if you missed anything. And yeah, man, and this has been the Ryan Awesome Show. Take care, stay safe, and don't forget to be awesome. And that's that.